How's it going? Dave from Comic Book Investments. So I just watched Black Widow last night. Um, it was all right. Um, it, I mean, it's a Marvel movie, and usually, in my opinion, Marvel movies are always, you know, pretty good, right? They're much better than the average movie out there, right? But I'm gonna compare it to other Marvel movies. Um, Again, these are gonna be spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie or and you don't want to be spoiled or anything, I'm just going to talk freely. Um, like the characters are pretty cool. I mean, Scarlett Johansson was fine as Black Widow. I mean, she's dead, obviously, so she's not coming back. And they iterate that point at the end of a cut scene, like an end credit scene. And Val, I don't remember her last name, Elaine Bennis. I'm blanking on the actress's name, who played in was the person with the U.S. agent in the Captain America, Winter Soldier, whatever Falcon thing, TV show. She's in it, but just at the end of the cutscene. So I guess she's gonna return for a bigger role. I thought she wouldn't really, but maybe in the future she'll be more of like the Nick Fury, the anti Nick Fury kind of thing, possibly. Because Samuel L. Jackson's getting pretty old, so he won't be able to do it forever. And that's kind of like I noticed with the new Black Widow. I don't know the actress's name. Uh, the Natasha's sister or whatever in the movie. Uh, she has the blonde hair. I think they're gonna try to pass the mantle over to her since Black Widow's dead, so she'll be the new Black Widow. And I have like a feeling that's gonna be like a running theme is in Marvel, they're just gonna try to pass the mantle onto someone else kind of thing. So now I think she'll be the new Black Widow, and they'll probably have like a new Hawkeye, and they're gonna have a new Nick Fury and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's what they're gonna do. Um, as far as the movie goes, there was a couple cool fight scenes. The Red Guardsman, played by David Arbor or something like that, who's Hellboy and also in Stranger Things. I liked his character. His character was funny. That was really the only humor to me that worked. There's a couple lines that the sister Black Widow said that was kind of funny, but their chemistry as like sisters, I know they're really trying to do that whole sister bond thing. I don't know. It just felt kind of forced and didn't really jive. And I get that they don't even really know each other in this film, anyways. So yeah. So that's maybe why it didn't really work because it's like, hey, you literally haven't seen each other in like 20 years and you only hung out as kids for like a couple years. So yeah, it just kind of seemed like they tried to make like they have this bond and this funny thing going on, but it just didn't work for me. I don't know why. Like they're picking at each other like sisters do, but I'm like, well, you haven't seen each other in like 20 years, and the younger one was like 5 or 6 on the last time. Like, ask me to remember someone when I was 5 or 6 years old. Couldn't even tell you. Couldn't remember a single thing. like maybe if you showed me a picture, I'm like, that person kind of looks familiar, right? So it's like it'd be if I met that person, it'd be like meeting them almost for the first time, right? So it's like they force this bond, but it's like, you don't really have this bond. You haven't seen each other in 20 years. Um, I mean, it. One of the biggest disappointments, I would say, was Taskmaster. Um, he, sorry, she was really cool. Like the whole time, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be awesome. Like it mimics all the fighting and everything like that. Like perfect. Turns out to be a woman, and I'm like, and the way they did it because it was so dumb because the whole time whoever is playing Taskmaster, the actor is a man. You can just tell by the build. It's like with like a foot taller than Scarlett Johansson. I think she's like 5'4". This person's like 6 foot something, and this the build. And then all of a sudden they do the big reveal, and it's a woman inside there. And the thing is, it didn't look like when they do the reveal because she's a woman. She's like probably like pretty thin or something like that. She has like a skinny neck, and it just make it look like she was swimming in this like big suit. Like I was like, what's this? The neck doesn't even match the rest of the body of the suit because they want to make her look imposing. They probably literally like not photoshopped, like CGI'd her head on top of whoever actually was wearing the suit for a brief moment, and it's this kind of like I hate it when you have Disney always does this. They do this with all their new live action Disney reboots. They turn like the villains or like bad things that people do and try to turn them around into like this redemption like good thing. And it's just like, they did the whole thing with like Maleficent where like in the original Sleeping Beauty she's a villain, right? And then they try to turn her, oh, she's misunderstood. She's actually doing it out of love. And it's just like, just make the villains the villains. Like, people are bad. People do bad things. And they have to live with it, right? And so, they have to make it so that in the beginning, they show Black Widow killing this little girl as collateral damage. And they can't just let that be. Like, she was a contract killer. Like, she killed tons of people, right? And then they have to redeem her. And it's just like, okay, yeah, she redeemed herself by joining the Avengers and changing her ways. Why can't that just be enough? And that's the kind of stuff I'm like, oh, God. And then so the little daughter ends up being still alive, and then she has to take it upon herself to save her. And, oh, what do you know? She was actually being mind-controlled the whole time because the little girl grew up to be Taskmaster. Mind-controlled the whole time. And one thing I did notice that I was telling my girlfriend that I thought was kind of funny was, so there's a big battle on this, basically a helicarrier, right? That's where the Red Room is. It's up above. And there's this big battle. And so the main bad guy, right, he doesn't really have any powers. The only powers he has is he has pheromones, so no one can kill him, right? Like, okay, whatever, kind of dumb. Whatever, right? So then Scarlett Johansson breaks her nose so she can't smell the pheromones. And then, and then proceeds to destroy him, right? But anyways, the main villain, he has his Black Widows, which is his lead of assassins, right? This like super assassins, just like all Scarlett Johansson. And then he has also his henchmen, which are just guys in like full-on army gear, head gear, whatever, and guns and whatever, just like normal random henchmen, right? And he probably has 30 Black Widow assassins and probably like 200 henchmen dudes, right? At the end, right, the whole thing is these Black Widow girls are actually being mind controlled through this something, right? I don't know what it is. They didn't really explain it too much, but and in order to get them unmind controlled, they have to spray this dust on their face. And then instantly they're like, oh my gosh, what? I've been mind controlled for 30 years, right? And then they go back to like normal thing. But so at the end, she's battling all the Black Widow people, and the henchmen take the boss, the main bad guy, out. And they're like, okay, the helicarrier is like about to crash, and so we have to get the boss out. So then Black Widow's fighting all these other Black Widows, and then Black Widow's sister comes down and like sprays them all with dust, and they're like, oh, okay, we're not fighting anymore. Okay, so let's leave. All the Black Widows, all the women, get on like a little plane, and they fly away. They're all safe. Every guy dies. All the women get saved. Every guy dies. And it's like, what about the henchmen? They could have been easily mind controlled as well. Like, but they don't care. They kill them all. They kill every single one of them. Every single guy dies. The only guy that survives is the dad, who's played by who's the Red Guardsman. But other than that, every single woman is saved and every single man dies. And I'm like, really? Like, why? If the Black Widows are mind controlled by this guy, you would think that the henchmen would be mind controlled by this guy. And then they're men too, because you can hear them speak, and they're in men's voices. So I'm just like, okay, so they're all worthless. Let's just kill them. But let's save all the women. We gotta save all the women. It was just like a funny point I noticed. And then of course, the last woman is Taskmaster, who's locked in the cell. And so then Black Widow's like, well, I got to redeem myself. So then she opens it and says, hey, don't kill me. I'm here to save you. And then Taskmaster proceeds to try to kill Black Widow, doesn't. And then everyone's falling, Black Widow's falling, saves her sister. And then Taskmaster comes and in midair, you just have to see it, and grabs her, and they're battling, and they pull the chute, and they both land on the ground safely, of course. And then they battle. But this is the thing. When Taskmaster is battling Black Widow or anybody before, and Taskmaster can mimic everything, she, I'm so used to calling him he, she had the upper hand all the time. But now, all of a sudden, for some reason, they don't explain why, Taskmaster is like not as good. And Taskmaster continues to like get beat up by Black Widow. It's like almost like they show Taskmaster as like this unbeatable character, and then in the final scene, they just like strip her of all of her powers, and so Black Widow just easily gets the upper hand, takes off the mask, sprays her with the dust, and it's like, oh, she was mind controlled as well. And then all the Black Widow women come down on the plane, pick up Taskmaster, and they all fly away, and that's pretty much it. That's the end. So I'm like, okay, whatever. But I mean, those are just like nitpicky little things that I noticed that I thought was like, whatever, stupid. But I mean, as a whole, I mean, the movie was like engaging enough for me not to fall asleep. And that's how I always judge movies. If I watch them at night, because I rented this on Disney Plus, I didn't go to the theater. And if I don't fall asleep, then, it's halfway decent, enough to keep my attention. So, I mean, is it as good as the other MCU movies? No. I'm trying to think. But again, like MCU movies, to me anyways, are pretty good, right? I like them anyways. So to say like this is like a below average MCU movie is still saying it's above average normal movie for me anyways, because I mean, most movies to me honestly don't hold my attention. So yeah, that's why I put it. I put it like if I had to grade it, I guess like a 6 or something. I don't know, 6-ish, somewhere around there, right? Below average MCU movie, but above average regular movie. So let me know what you guys think about it, if you've seen it or will you see it or whatever. Yeah. All right. Thanks.